Welcome, everybody, to From Outdated to Outstanding, Enhancing Manufacturing Through Application Modernization. This is a webinar designed for industry leaders in manufacturing who are on a quest for growth, scalability, and innovation. Hello, and I'm Claudia Maskas, UX consultant at Accesa. I've been part of modernization projects for the last 12 years in areas like manufacturing, scientific instruments, and financial. And together with my colleague Radu Vingan, who is a tribe lead for the manufacturing industry line and has a 6 years experience in leading the delivery of complex software projects in manufacturing, we will be the hosts for today over the next 35 minutes.
Hi, Claudia. Thank you for the nice intro. This session is designed for heads of IT and managers aiming to transform their operational landscape. So if you're dealing with challenges of outdated systems or aiming to become more competitive and your business is in the manufacturing industry, this webinar is for you. For already more than a decade, of supporting our customers in manufacturing, among others, with their modernization journeys, we definitely see patterns, common challenges, and insightful opportunities. What we did was to group the topics that we repeatedly discuss with our new customers, and we brought them together to today's webinar. We aim to focus on our experience and practical knowledge, and at the end, for the ones that are patient and engaged among you, we prepared an exclusive invitation that would support you with your first step towards application modernization. So, Claudia, what do you think? Should we start with some data?
So, looking at data coming from the market and from research from Gartner and also from a history of our projects, we see the pressure to modernize, but at the same time, challenges and roadblocks pushing back and blocking modernization. So as I mentioned, we also have some research data to rely on. So in a Gartner prediction, we see that companies will be spending 40% of their IT budgets on just to maintain their technical debt. That's a huge amount to just keep the engine running. And it's not only that, because we saw that legacy software blocks the possibility to use new technologies, results in frustrated employees and reduced competitiveness.
I think that's something to think about. Why do you think the number is so large?
Well, it's obvious for companies facing this situation that modernization is also a very complex affair. We see it postponed all the time. And one of the common reasons we constantly see in our projects is the retiring of the old development team who built the software. So the complexities of modern software exceed the capabilities of many traditional manufacturing companies. And the expectations in today's time have increased. So a team of a few passionate engineers is no longer sufficient to meet these technological demands. Also, know-how is often buried in legacy code and in the minds of individuals who may not have up-to-date information. Also, the focus ends up being so much on the technology stack and so little about the ease of use and why would anybody use or buy the solution in the first place, or adoption or change management. And referring to the number on the side, that's why we see a large majority of organizations being concerned of having the right IT talent available.
Yet there is not necessarily a lack of trying, right?
Yes, I mean, we see this also with our customers. There are also other types of fears and uncertainties like budget overrunning or the difficulty to prove a solid return on investment for a modernization project that lasts years. We also noticed this: companies can decide to shift away some of the complexity there and rely on over-the-counter solutions. But they fear ending up dependent on monopoly platform vendors. There's a good statistic made by Advance that says that a large majority of companies, including manufacturing, state that starting a modernization project where at least one failed. And they consider it being generally due to poor planning and understanding of all the complexities. And, you know, I think it's understandable to somehow back down, since you can think of this number. So an average cost of $300,000 for an hour of downtime. So there are concerns about disruption in the transition phase, and you want to think twice before easily putting brakes in your system.
Yeah, that's understandable, but our viewers might wonder if there is a cost for not changing their status quo or not doing anything. What do you think about that?
I am glad you asked that, Radu. You know, having that mindset, if it's not broken, then don't fix it, has even greater costs. It affects manufacturing companies' ability that are essential in today's world. So it's their ability to innovate and not being overrun by the competition, or the ability to meet compliance requirements. So again, based on data from the market, most companies are impacted in that way by not modernizing. And also, if you want to put numbers in the balance, think about all the vulnerabilities of legacy systems. So there's a majority of companies in manufacturing stating that they suffer ransomware attacks. And there's an estimated average cost of a data breach calculated for 2023 of about $4 million. So I think that's a number to think about.
So in other words, it sounds like in some cases, it's really cheaper to modernize than not to, right?
I think that would be a very important takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on closer to home and our history with software modernization, I want to ask you, Radu, what could you tell us about the same challenges we saw together with our customers and how we managed to overcome them together?
Good point, Claudia, because we do have some good client stories we'd like to show to our viewers. I'll be focusing on projects we went through in the last 5-6 years. An important mention would be that I won't disclose the names of our customers due to privacy reasons. Also, there are a lot of things to share about these client stories, but our time for today will be limited. So I'd happily discuss about them in more detail with our viewers who share their interest in engaging with us. So let's start with the first one. And in this situation, we are talking about a client that's a leading supplier of systems for manufacturing yarn from stable fibers in spinning mills. Our project together began in 2019, and they have around 5,000 employees worldwide. So they're a pretty big company. Their challenge was concerning a very old legacy application, which was also leading their main sales processes. Based on an audit, they concluded that the only way forward is for them to modernize this. So it was a must, but the knowledge around this application was pretty scarce, given that a lot of the people involved were either retired, left the company, or were scattered across the company. Of course, there was great ambiguity when it came to the functional elements of the product. In some situations, the code was literally the documentation, but some other things didn't have any ambiguity, meaning that the budget and the deadline were as clear as daylight. What we managed to do, we started with, let's say, leveraging the existing expertise, both on the customer side and on our side as well. So we've discovered the product together. through workshops, interviews. We did a lot of reverse engineering when it came to the formulas used in their quotations. And yeah, we documented basically the processes thoroughly this time. Then we decided to rebuild and replace the old app. So the strategy employed here was a big bang approach. That means that it was an all-at-once strategy where the whole application was replaced in one large upgrade. Although risky, this happened with 0 critical defects and within the agreed success criteria. However, what makes us happy is not only that we've managed to deploy a functional and well-received product where 2 other suppliers have failed, but also that we're still the one supporting and maintaining the software for our client after all these years. Now let's switch to a different example. We are talking about a leading company that manufactures laboratory equipment focused on particle analysis. They are also a worldwide player with more than 2,000 employees. So this project started in 2018, and its mission was to achieve a modernized state-of-the-art software for the customer's machines, especially for the new machines launched, so that they can outrun especially their new competition. So the goal was pretty high. Again, there were some challenges as well. So the code was using a framework that wasn't really extensible, and the customer lacked the necessary resources to maintain it. So the need to reverse engineer in order to acquire business knowledge was, again, pretty high. The existing app was hardly usable, and the number of complaints from the field was steadily increasing. The customer was also unaware of the complexity they were facing in order to achieve the modernization goal, which translated into a pretty conservative budget. What we did here, we started with a discovery workshop again, then gradually advanced through modernization, optimization, and finally the new experience implementation. So step by step, from prototype validation to minimum marketable product development. Gradual development, and given the budget constraints and the high pressure the customer was facing, already from the beginning of the project, we focused on delivering features effectively in 2-week increments and perform user testing iteratively. So we wanted to make sure we are effective from beginning on because of the pressure. The strategy employed this time was different from a big bang. So we used the strangler pattern approach, basically gradually transitioning from the legacy system to the new platform feature by feature. The application delivered here and still maintained by us as well is not only modern and intuitive, but it also accommodates easily new feature additions, which in our customer dynamic, we consider it to be a very strong advantage. So now moving to the third one, in this situation, I am focusing on a smaller project that we recently started. Actually, the project development scope is pretty big, but we are highlighting only what we've done during the solution discovery and what we've basically implemented recently. So given the high complexity of the customer's business, we've started with intensive research. We actively listened and asked a lot of questions in order to understand. This helped us map the customer's process thoroughly, and this also helped our customer to see things more clearly. So then we've created a plan that allowed us to implement all the requirements, both functional and non-functional. However, we should approach this iteratively. So we've outlined the minimum marketable product again, and we removed everything else that doesn't fit. And for this, we needed to be strict. We need to agree on clear guidelines together with our customer. But the good news is that we succeeded. We've just started developing this app, and I'd like to mention that our previous experience with the same security requirements with a different customer helped us act proactively and save our customer a lot of money, because we managed to provide him with this feature or this feature set basically off the shelf. So these would be 3 distinct client stories we wanted to share with you. And I hope these insights helped you shape a clearer picture about what the modernization project looks like from our point of view.
I'm glad you mentioned these projects, Radu, because as you are mentioning, I hear that there are also some hard lessons learned there. So I think it's exactly like you mentioned in the first case study. There, I know that project, and we were the next provider that came in after they already failed twice with other providers, but managed to reach great results together. And for the other projects you mentioned, it was exactly that experience which made them trust our approach. You already said that. So can you tell us more?
Yeah, indeed, a lot of lessons learned over these years. And I'd gladly share with you the main ones from my point of view. We mentioned the word discovery several times during this webinar, and the term has its place here as well. So modernization isn't replication. It's sad when some customers approach us with a request to modernize the existing code by keeping the exact same features and nothing more, nothing less. It's sad because we are missing the opportunity to adjust and enrich the user experience, remove the features that only clutter the user experience, and and also to add features that would potentially catalyze the customer on their market. So we should strive to discover, to understand what's it really about, and prioritize what really matters early on. That would be, let's say, the first one. There are other ones as well. So on another hand, oftentimes we've encountered customers that approach the project budget wrongly. This means that we fully understand when the budget is strict. However, in those situations, we should adjust the scope and we should adjust the project's context by design so that we keep a realistic outlook. Else, having too much pressure doesn't help anyone. And oftentimes, this pressure can be relaxed by setting clear expectations both ways and at the beginning of the project. So in short, clear expectations, transparency, frequent validation with the empowered decision makers, and reserving budget for the unknowns. So reserving always some buffer. All these practices help us project a budget that is realistic and helps us more than it hinders us. Further on, there are other lessons learned as well, but based on my experience, having a steering board that communicates often by design helped us navigate internal politics a lot better, and basically helped us get things done more quickly and effectively. Yeah, and I would also highlight one more, which is preparing for change management. Change management is critical. Adopting a new software within your organization is a project in itself, and you should remember that. We are dealing with people, and people aren't programmable, at least not yet, and hopefully not in the very soon. So this is why if we plan for an optimal adoption of the new software and foresee how change management will occur by being realistic and communicating about it, will replace the old software a lot better than the others on the market that face this challenge. So I would say this would be my top lessons learned. And I think now it's your turn, Claudia. If you were to pick your lessons learned based on your experience, what would you say?
I would totally agree with your highlights. I do think that most wins we had when customers focused on solid discovery practices, on user validation and incorporating users, and also in good internal stakeholder engagement and communication. that was a tricky part sometimes, and it's often overlooked.
Well, now hopefully at this point our viewers are curious about how we start a modernization project and how we approach it from beginning on.
Well, that's a great topic, how we approach modernization. So first of all, how we were successful in our project, in all our projects. And the first part is our framework. So it's our modernization framework, and we say that it is our way to avoid building the perfect yet wrong solution. So in order to do that, we have a 3-step framework we call Understand, Explore, Make. We begin the modernization journey with an analysis of the current situation and then envision the possible solutions to modernization. In our exploration phase, then we build concepts and prototypes for the solutions we envision. And the aim there is to test them and to make informed decisions and minimize risks. Only then we move to the full development of the validated solutions. We then provide support to make sure the solutions are reliable and facilitate uninterrupted operations. That's important. And we also like to think in terms of continuous evolution and also contribute to our customers' competitive edge. So zooming into the understand phase, we have 2 valuable tools to get started. So one of them is our modernization assessment. So this is a survey type of tool that helps you evaluate the acuteness of your modernization needs and gives you a snapshot. Our second tool is solution discovery. And our focus there is to create feasible modernization project scopes. We think in terms of timelines, costs, and risks, and supporting the business case for modernization. So to give you a bit more details about them, we have the modernization assessment. So we said it's a tool and it's custom created by our experts and it's based on our modernization experience. And we think it's a valuable tool because it's very quick to use and it gives you actionable data for building a business case for modernization. And there you can expect to cover aspects like modernization drivers, business fit, agility, technical complexity, and risk. And we try to design it as easy as possible. So it's like a 1, 2, 3. It's just about scheduling a call, filling in the answers, and getting the report. And I want to leave you here with a sneak peek of what you can expect from such a report. Our second tool is solution discovery. And for us, it means, like I said, creating feasible software development scope, but it's aligned to market needs, to user needs, and to business strategy. And what we also do in discovery is define high-level roadmaps. We prioritize and we support idea validation. And we consider it an essential step for reducing the risks associated with modernization. We want to support creating a solid business case, and like I mentioned, we address scope and budget and timelines and defining the best solution for modernization. Again, I want this to be seen as easy as 1, 2, 3, because we have them as remote or in-person workshops where we include our experts and also decision makers, key stakeholders, and subject matter experts. So this is really important to have all these people around the decision table. We address key topics like scope and budget and timelines, and we also validate ideas. So we consistently thought this, and by using this approach, we can produce valuable outcomes. And we're making sure we're building the right solution, not just building the solution right. We also aim to fail when it's cheap. I know this is a buzzword, but I think it's really important in modernization projects because, as we saw, derailed decision making can really increase costs. So failing cheap is not just a buzzword, is important here. Also, our methods are built to deliver palpable deliverables that can be used by our customers in different how they decide to continue their modernization journey. It helps build a solid business case because we know there's a need for internal buy-in and internal funding, and that's, again, really important for us. So right back at you, Radu, if you were to pick an outcome you saw most impactful for our customers, what would it be?
Based on the slide we are looking at, I think I stressed this point already today, but I'd like to highlight it here again. One of my favorite outcomes that we aim to achieve is to develop incrementally, have short feedback loops, and deliver small artifacts that can be really utilized by our customers or by their users. So I think this particular point showcases also our agile approach. In short, I would pick the one in the middle. So at this point, we believe you understand why this may be the right moment for you to approach software modernization. We hope you acquired some insights out of our client stories and lessons learned. And we hope you like how we approach modernization from starters. Now we have an invitation for you to make the first step towards modernizing your operational landscape. What you need to do is just to send an email to hello@accesa.eu or scan the QR code displayed here. And our colleagues will help you schedule a 30-minute call with an Accesa expert to fill in your, let's say, custom-made modernization assessment. I would say that's all. Again, simple and effective. Yeah, that being said, many thanks, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar as we do.
Thank you, Radu. So we are at the end of our session. So Radu and I are going to say thank you. We really appreciate you lending us your attention, and we hope the information presented today will be helpful and you'll give us a sign, because we love to support the journey of modernization. If you have any questions regarding today's session, you can reach us on LinkedIn, and we hope to hear from you.
Thanks again for joining us today, and stay positive, because modernization can really be a huge success for your company.